Gus, you've known John Gruden for a long time.
Yeah.
Did any of that ever come out, like what you read in those emails and things like that?
No, you know what? It's hard. I've thought about this. Usually I come in here and think about practice and come in and visit with you, and I know that's going to be a topic. And, sometimes you're searching for the word because there are feelings, and, heartache. And I know Mike Tomlin, and he said something about saddened. And I think maybe that's the best word to describe it. You're saddened for everybody, the organization, for Coach Crew, for people involved. But yet at the same time, I think I was raised to always believe something good's about to happen. And sometimes that's challenged, right, in a week like this. But that's what we believe. Thankfully, we have a really good locker room. And the players, every player in that room, just like a lot of people in the world, have all gone through adversity, and they know how to handle it. And they're professionals, as we are as coaches. And, now we've got a job to do, and we're excited about the next opportunity. So you kind of battle that first emotion, and then you move on and say, all right, something good's about to happen. Let's go see. And you get great energy from our players. They've showed great leadership, and obviously the coaching staff.
You had Greg on staff in Jacksonville. I believe he called the plays in 16
Yeah.
before you let him go. What do you remember about his capabilities? And obviously that was a different roster than what you have here, but how he's capable of just taking over.
You know what's great about Greg is how he utilizes personnel. And, he's so consistent. He's got a definite philosophy on how he wants to go about doing it and meshing things together. And, he knows his team so well, the offensive players and the talent of them. And he'll do outstanding. I've got a lot of respect for him. Greg and Rich Versace and Tom Cable, that's a big reason as well why I came back to get an opportunity to work with them again.
He called the plays, I believe, Derek's rookie season as well. So they've had a relationship before he left and came back. And just seen from afar, obviously, just that bond and how important it is.
Well, with the quarterback, obviously, there's got to be great trust, and I think, if you have a new coaching staff, it takes time to build that, where Greg and Derek have that relationship. I assume, I know they've known each other for a great deal of time. In my conversations with Derek, I think it's pretty evident how he feels about Greg. So, without being over there all the time, anticipate it going very smoothly.
From watching film, what have you noticed about you all's run defense, and how can you all?
Yeah, it's something that we've addressed. We've taken a look at. It's consistently. We talk about in the game. They got to be at under 4 yards a carry, and yet I think Chicago's at 3.9, but it just didn't feel like where we needed to be. So we had some missed assignments. We did some more things on defense. We pressured some more, and we had some miscommunication, more self-inflicted errors. So it's back. And we're not going to change much who we are, so it's more about just consistency and getting the call and execution of the call more consistently.
Does it feel like you're taking maybe as much of a head coaching role without being the head coach as you possibly can in this league right now?
No, I don't look at it. I think, we're in charge of 25 or 28 guys, and we're here to serve them and serve the head coach. And like I said, Rich Versace and I have a great relationship, and he's a very strong leader. And the great thing about him is it gives immediate direction, in a time like this. And exactly where he stands, what is expected, and we go. And the relationship that he has with the players and the staff, there's complete trust. And I think that's just such a big part of it.
Gus, what are you most encouraged with this defense?
I think that in the pass game, the consistency where we're at with coverage, I think we're doing some pretty good things there. We're recognizing some indicators and things like that and the communication of it. We're not exactly there yet. There's some plays where, we missed some opportunities on it. Disappointed in the number of takeaways. In the first couple of games we had some, but I'm still seeing it. They're going for the ball. They're just not coming out. So we just got to take advantage of those opportunities when they're created.
Meek got pushed into some duty the last couple of games. Seems like he's responded well, at least from our end.
Yeah. He has. It's a tough position to go into. But, I think a Meek issue in the offseason when we were going through OTA was just more consistent plays. Do we love the man, but what are we going to get play in and play out? And I think, now that he's playing more, you can start to feel that players exactly, know where he's going to be. He's building that confidence, that consistency. So, everybody's got to have trust with everybody on the unit, and he's building that.
Coach, on the defensive side of the ball, you have two captains in Yannick Ngakoue and Max Crosby. What have you seen or what have you liked about the way they've been able to rally this team together?
Well, I mean, they're so consistent. When they walk in the building, you know exactly what you're going to get. And they have a unique style, and they can call guys out. You know, if it's not to the standard we want, they'll call them out. They'll call them out in meetings on the field. But yet it's in a way of, you know, more the standard's the most important thing. And our standard won't change regardless of the circumstances.
Guys, yesterday, Carl took a day off to clear his head, as Mike Mayock said. How did he respond by returning today?
He's great. He's been a great teammate now, you know, and that's why I say I think things like this affect people differently, and you understand that part of it. But great communicator, you know, and it was great to have him back. And, you know, whenever he comes back, he provides a little juice for us. And, you know, so he was great in the meetings, and he's all caught up and ready to go.
What are you seeing teams do with your edge rushers? Are you seeing a lot of tight ends rub before they go out? Or?
We're seeing a little bit more of that. Yeah, the chips that we're seeing, especially on third down, you know, to try to affect it. So, you know, that's something that we're pretty aware of. And we did some different things to try to get the chips off. And but, then, you know, that's part of it. When they chip, that's less guys out. You know, you have to look at it that way, too. Or if they do come out, it's usually delayed routes. So, you know, anytime they have to go max protection because of the rush, it allows more guys in coverage, and you can get tighter coverage.
You spent a lot of time with Melvin Gordon, kind of seeing what kind of player he is. What kind of stands out to you in terms of who he is as a player?
I think he's playing his best football. I don't know if he's leaned up. You know, he just looks faster, playing with a great deal of confidence right now, whether he's fresher or what. But, I mean, it shows up on tape. I've always been impressed with him, working beside him. But, you know, he just feels like you feel him on the tape now. He's, you know, he's very fast, good instincts, you know, can make you miss in the open field. So that's a really good combination, their backs.
Gus, problems and adversity can galvanize people. With the events of the last week, have you sensed your side of the ball, guys, just even getting closer?
They're pretty strong. You're right. I think adversity, you know, gives you an opportunity to demonstrate who you are or how you know, handle things. And that's something that we've talked about, but I think it's pretty, you know, it's their character anyway. But they're pretty close, but I can see them kind of conversing with each other and talking through some things. But, you know, the one thing I think I've noticed with players is they're pretty resilient. You know, they, even more so than coaches. They get over things pretty quick. And, you know, they deal with it and they move on to the next thing. And, all right, you know, what's the game plan? How are we going to go about this? And that's what I appreciate about them is their resiliency. And, you know, they understand it's a difficult situation, but the ability to quickly recover and then move on. So I really like where we're at right now. I mean, the way we practice, it was good to get back in pads yesterday, you know, that part of it. I think we needed that just to sharpen up our skills. And they took to it, and they saw it on film, and we'll get better because of it.
Coach, as a former head coach, what kind of advice have you either offered to Rich Bisaccia or to your players as far as handling this experience? What have you drawn from that experience?
Right. Well, Rich and I talk a lot. I mean, we, you know, converse, and we have for years. You know, just, you know, it's at the Senior Bowl. We had breakfast together and just talked through things. And, you know, when I was a head coach, you know, so it's more of a relationship like that, but he's so easy to follow just because of the way he leads. He's one of those guys, unique. He can get after a player and they walk out and, you know, there's no issue, you know, because they know where his heart is. So he's just a tremendous leader, someone that I've grown from and learned a lot. But we have multiple conversations. But since this has taken place, really not that many. But, you know, I'm sure we'll talk and we will continue to do. And he's such a, you know, he'll bounce things off you, practice things. But he does that with all the coaches and then ends up, you know, coming up with the decision and we go with it.
The defense in general has been good. You mentioned wanting more turnovers. Is the other one red zone?
Yeah.
Been able to score in the red zone?
Yeah, in red zone, and, you know, coming back to some technique things. We're just not clean on it. And, you know, we've kind of changed some things up, what we're doing down there, but it still comes back to, you know, everything happens so fast down there, and we just got to match that speed, and that execution has to match that speed. So, you know, it's a little bit of a work in progress right now, but we got to execute down there better, because these opportunities, you know, the worst case scenario, they should have 3, you know, and we're not doing that right now.
You guys all set?
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Gus.
Go ahead and shoot.
All right.
Yeah.
How does this change? I know John was, the head of the offense, so to speak, but now you are. And how does this change, and how does it maybe change how you and Derek collaborate moving forward in terms of game plan?
It really hasn't changed much at all, to be quite honest with you. We've, I've been in every meeting involving Derek Carr and the offensive game plan. We've got a veteran staff in Edgar Bennett who really controls that wide receiver run group. We've got Tom Cable, who has controlled the offensive line and communicated with the offensive line. And then John and myself and our assistant Johnny Moe really met with Derek or the quarterbacks as a group through every meeting. So as far as that go, the communication part of it hasn't changed at all, other than the voice that they're hearing now, the plan from. And then obviously our work schedule during the week, we've remained the same this week with the exception that as John's not involved.
Without giving away any secrets or anything like that, but is it fair to say that you look at things maybe a little bit differently than John did, and that might express itself in the...
Yeah, I think, anytime you change play callers, there may be a different flow. But our offense, we feel very good as a staff about the offense that we have in place and the way we go about, again, implementing a game plan and the process at which we work during the week. We've kept that process the same this week. Again, we're just a man short. So we feel good about the process, and again, feel real strong about the staff that we're surrounded with.
Even back to 2014, can you just kind of put in your words your relationship with Carr?
Strong. I mean, obviously, I was part of the organization that drafted him. So always, and as I left here, I still remained in contact with Derek, and obviously have a lot of respect for the way his career has unfolded. Ton of respect for him. Now I've got a chance to be with him again, and just it's a personal as well as business relationship, and I think that's important in that role that I've had, obviously with him, and that role that we'll have going forward.
Greg, obviously you've called plays before, but what kind of adjustment is it to go from not calling plays to doing so kind of in the middle of the season?
Well, I just think your role changes somewhat. With John, it was suggestions throughout the game on the headset. Suggestions. Here's how I see it, Coach. Here's the suggestions. He's big into that. I need suggestions, and I need sometimes a buffer between Derek and I in the emotion of a game. So that's really all that will change. Again, I'll lean on Tom. I'll lean on Edgar. I'll lean on the staff that we have here, who is I'm fortunate to be surrounded with a veteran group of coaches. I think Coach felt the same way when he was here, that he had a veteran group of offensive coaches, and because of that, I think our process was very effective. So just feel good about it, but it won't change a whole lot.
Greg, when the running game is not working, do you sometimes have to use it looking the pass to set up the run? I know you don't abandon it, but sometimes don't you have to make adjustment there?
Well, I've done that. I think if you look at how the season started, we've been a heavy pass, heavy drop back. So, we're still trying to find the right combination up front. We made change last week, obviously moving Alex inside, and that's kind of where we're at. I think, as I've taught you, we train all those guys in different places, but there's certainly you're trying to marry the run game with the play action game and the movement game. And we'll continue to look at ways to make those two work together. So, but I think it's been more than anything, it's just been trying to find the combination of five guys working together and them having a chance to be together, in extended games.
You don't want, nobody wants it to happen this way, but you are a play caller probably at heart. I mean, does it excite you to be back in that role, no matter, obviously not this way, but just be back in this role?
Yeah, I always say opportunity comes in many different ways, and certainly this wasn't the opportunity that I was looking for. But, there's always excitement about that. I think you get into the coaching profession, you get in the coordinator role to take on that responsibility. So there's a tremendous amount of responsibility that goes with it, but is excitement a word? Yeah, I don't know. Again, there's a lot of feelings going through a lot of the players and coaches this week, but it's opportunity would probably be the word that I would say that I'm looking at.
Speaking about changes, something that Coach Bradley just came and said was one of your biggest positive factors is your personal rhythms and how different you make things. How imperative is it to make sure that you keep things as different and as possible going up against like Von Miller, who's seen basically every offense in the league?
Yeah, that's our philosophy, as an offensive staff, or, things that look the same but are different. How do you make it look the same to defense? What we did last week, how is that going to look the same to them and yet have a different spin off of it? And, it's a lot of times it's not rocket science, but there is an art to that. And we're fortunate that we feel like we have, again, very strong skill positions, the tight ends, the running backs, and the wide receivers, that we can mix and match and use different personnel groupings, as Gus had alluded to, and keep them off balance that way, and yet keep the concept somewhat basic and simple.
How difficult has it been for you to balance the relationship with Gruden and why you came to the Raiders and why you're here now versus the job you have to do?
Yeah, it's not obviously an easy situation for anybody and part of the organization to go through. I think, I'm just saddened by the pain that's caused so many people, really for so many different reasons. So, but I think we have a job to do. Everyone understands, as players and coaches to a man. We had a great meeting yesterday with owner Mark and Mike Mayock and Rich Bisaccia did a tremendous job in the team meeting, and players spoke. And, there was a chance kind of for players to open up to coaches and vice versa. And I think it's been as good a week as possible, really, just based on the character of the team that we have put together here. I really give credit to the players on the way that they've been able to handle this week. Obviously, again, like I said, there are a lot of feelings, most of them sadness, really.
But I guess, is it uncomfortable just as a human being? I mean, just having to navigate that, and it's week 6,
Yeah, but again, the show goes on. It's no different. We always talk about it as a staff and as a team. If it's no different than if you had a significant injury to a player. Someone else has got to step up, and the band plays on. So that's kind of been the mindset. We're going to rally around Rich Bisaccia, and we're going to keep going. And like I said, we feel real strong about the talent on the team and where we're at. Certainly, we're 3-2. Things can get better, but we still see the arrow going up, and we've got new leadership. But the players are the same, and for the most part, the coaching staff is intact. We lost our leader, John, but we just, again, next man up, Rich Bisaccia, and next man up will be Greg Olson on the offensive side. But the rest of it stayed the same. So that's just the mindset that this team has taken, and again, real credit to the character of the players that we have on it.
One more, Adam. Sorry, Coach, when you were talking about, talking to the players, dealing with their emotions, kind of moving forward from there, is part of your job this week and maybe even in the future, understanding, like, okay, we're trying to push forward, or sometimes we might have to take our foot off the gas a little bit, and hey, maybe guys are still adapting mentally? Is that like part of the process?
Oh, no question. Offering counseling, and really there's been a lot of that, and I know Rich has probably alluded to that too, that, there's been more players upstairs. Normally, all the meetings are downstairs in the rooms, and we're talking football. But there's been more players that have wandered up the stairway, and I just need a chance to talk to somebody. And again, I can't say enough about the character of players that we have established on this team in terms of that, being able to openly communicate and express their feelings and express their emotions. So that has been part of this week as well. I wouldn't call it a distraction. It's part of it. It's life. It's life. And, nobody, again, so many people are saddened by it, by the pain that it's caused so many different people, but you just keep moving on.
All right, thanks everyone.
Thank you.